Of all widows whose husbands were assassinated during Kanu days, it is only Terry Kariùki that I managed to meet. Well, if as things stand, I think her co-wife, Doris Nyambura Kariùki, is probably the only widow remaining for those people who were assassinated by Kanu government. All the people who were assassinated by Kanu government, I think their widows have died. So it is only Doris Nyambura that is remaining. And today is, I wanted to share with you the experience that I had with her. Before I start, whenever I sat with her, apart from the time when the first day when we spent a lot of time just talking about, actually we did spend a lot of time talking. I spent a lot of time talking to her. She did the listening. But in subsequent meetings and subsequent talks, she was a very lively lady. I felt so comfortable that I've only felt that way twice in my life. I felt as comfortable as I felt when I was with my own mother, the late. And when my mother died, my mother's follower, the late Mary Wanjiku, I started, whenever I sat down, especially the subsequent, leave alone the first incident, the subsequent meetings when we met, I just felt that this was a mother who would take over. There was that feeling of being, the feeling that I had with my mother and the feeling that I had with my mother's sister. Both were deceased and she has also followed them. So in the brief, that is what I'm going to talk about. Uh, I had a privilege that that even though I wanted to talk to widows and immediate families of the people who were assassinated, for reasons that I'll say in my today's presentation, it is her that I had the privilege of repeatedly meeting and talking. And mostly I'll talk about the subsequent meetings. I'll leave out the first and the last. The first, as I've said, we spent time when I was just talking about everything, how JM, ABCD, up to the time or any information I had. You see, the information that I gave her is the one that is contained in the TJRC reports, the parliamentary select, and all that, and the journalism. But you'll find that newspapers and let us say media houses, they do edit out a lot of things. They do edit out a lot of things. They edit it out because of time. They edit out because of clarification. They edit out for legal purposes. So I just had to say everything because I know anything I've forgotten, anything I've not said, if I die in the next 5 minutes, nobody will ever know. So if it is something to do with your person, I tell you everything I know, how I got it, how whatever. And I find a lot of people questioning here and there and whatever. I also do that clarification. For example, a very common question I get is 1975, where were you? 1975, I was doing my primary standard 7. We are not 844. I was doing my standard 7 at Mbagadi Road Primary School next to City Mortuary. So whatever was happening. And the other thing is these people believe, those who ask me, of course, over 90%, when I explain, over 95% they understand immediately. because you don't have to be in the place of the incident to witness it. The other thing is I was in a records department, where like some people were trying to silence me by saying we will expose you as one of the Nyayo house torturers. But you see, Nyayo house torturers, we have two types of people. We have the victims and we have the torturers. So if any single if any single victim can come out and say I tortured him or her, but were there ladies there? We had ladies who are torturers, but torture victim ladies are very minimal, if at all there was. So you find that somebody else saying, okay, if you continue that way, we will brand you Nyayo torturer. We have people like Wafula Buke. We have people like Edward. Edward who? There is a Professor Edward. We have people like Jeru Gadhangu. We have very many people. If one of them says, I was seen in... So I used to be in the records department, let me just say that. So I share that. I even share references. I tell, okay, somebody who knows better. There are some references I make, and later on it is discovered that those people are already dead. So the first thing I usually tell these people is that I give them all the information I have, because even right now, as I speak now, there's no threat on my life. But anybody who saw Mama Terry in March during the 50th anniversary, if you are to tell that person that she would be dead in 9 months, 8 months later. So yeah, I can die anytime. I can die anytime, but I don't want to die with my information. So I usually tell them everything I know. Two, I usually try to understand. You see, that is my training and that is inside me. I can't get out of it. I usually try to find people like the torturers. I come across them. I even have their relatives around, and then I just try to compare the experience. What has it taught them up to this time, and also I mean, everybody. I'm talking of those people who are affected. Those people are affected. Your relative died. He was a father. He was a husband. He was ABCD. How does it affect you now? Okay, I go to another place. Like I would really want to meet the family of Wanyuke Thungu and say, how was he? I hope you understand me. Let me start with what today's thing was, and it was about meeting. I just was elaborating why something inside me says that if I meet those people, it gives me the peace of mind. Who knows? It may even, like Uganda, you can see Ida means son. Ida means son is there, and he's going around explaining his father. He's going around trying to join up those people. I think we should have something like that. That's my opinion. But today, let me talk about Mama Terry Kariùki. Of all political assassinated widows, Mama Terry Kariùki is different from the rest. She is the only one whom I've sat down and had a discussion on various times and various issues. Actually, her co-wife, Doris Nyambura, I only met her once during the 50th anniversary. And obviously, you can be lucky to spend even 5 minutes with her in such a time. Not only her, anybody there. You see, you're trying to greet everybody, you're trying to do whatever, but a person like her at Mama Terry, of course, they were the center of attention, and it's not somebody you could sit around and say, let us talk or anything. So all political assassinated widows, I've never met any except these two, and Mama Doris Nyambura, I've only met her less than 5 minutes. These are two political assassinated widows that I try to meet there are some other more political assassination widows that I tried to meet, but they died before we met. There are other two political assassination widows that I tried to meet, but they died before we met. There is Mrs. Christabella Ouko. It was hard to get her. You see, we have people. You know that if you want to get so and so, there is somebody, you go straight and the message goes. But Mrs. Christabella Ouko, you try to get her, you follow that line up, and by the time you reach the end, you find it's a dead end. You start you start afresh. So the only time I met her is when she was in the casket at Sitam along Valley Road. She was already dead. Her family, they knew me. The advantage that I usually have when I meet these families is that they have seen me on press, they have seen me on newspapers, they have seen me on TV. So when I just appear, say kwa Tenge tunakujua. So the family told me that they can meet me after 40 days of mourning period. But the funny thing is 40 hours after that thing, my phone disappeared. I discovered that I had no phone. Inside me, I believe that could I say state agents made sure that I didn't have the contact with the Robert Uko family, because my phone was lost, and what I lost together with my phone were contacts. I had been given a telephone number where I was told, after 40 days, contact us so that we can organize for you to meet Ken Ouko and others and whatever. But then that is the nearest I got to Mrs. Ouko, Christabel Ouko. As concerning Mrs. Muge, the All Saints Cathedral, the ACK Cathedral, had organized for me to meet her. And the church had organized in such a way that whenever she was in Nairobi, I would be informed. And she had already been told that I wanted to meet her, and she had approved that we meet. So that was, and after saying that is when she talked to the newspaper called The Star. She talked to the Star newspaper, where she praised me. She praised me for my bravado. That despite the fact that whatever I was coming out openly, but there was one problem that almost always when she was in Nairobi. First of all, I want to say that the organization for me to meet her was between the All Saints Cathedral and St. Stephen's Church at Jogoo Road. St. Stephen's Church at Jogoo Road. So the two were organizing. But then, whenever she came to Nairobi, most of the time she came when she had a medical problem. And it is me who chose not to meet her when she was taking medication. Because I believe that some of the topics that I talk about the close family. You see, even if I talk to the press, they edit it. And even if I have to talk here, you see, somebody will sue me or something. So I usually think that the custodian of the information is the immediate family. So once I give the immediate family, that's okay. Then after immediate family knowing whatever, I try to bond with them. So I felt that first of all, I don't know how deep Mrs. Muge would have investigated, and I would not know how it will, or emotionally it will affect her. So I kept on insisting that I had to meet her when she had no medical problems. Unfortunately, I didn't get her. Well, I have been in contact with our 3 children. There is one who is an advocate. uh, we have talked on phone. He has my number, I have his number. We talk, we do whatever, but we have never met in person. Then there are 2, uh, a daughter and a son, whom uh, I met at their residence in Elgon View. Elgon View of Eldoret. I believe Elgon View of Eldoret is the Muthaiga of Eldoret. I may be wrong, but I think so. So I met there is the son who is a lawyer. We have talked on phone. I even know his voice, but we have never met. But there is another son and a daughter. We met at Elgon. And apart from what we talk, there is a part of me. Okay, I've not met all of them, all the victims and whatever. But sincerely speaking from my heart, once all the people I've met today, up to today, the way the way they talk to me, I feel appreciated, and I feel, what I've said may even cost me my life, but I feel it is worthwhile. It is worthwhile because when we talk to them, especially, leave alone okay, the part of telling them why. They are called 5 questions: how, why, when, whatever. Their kin died. That is part of the introduction and whatever. Tell them. But me personally, what I understand is the bounding of us. If one day it could be found that time is going, maybe the principal people are getting out. But if one day the family of the victim and the family of people like Opio were to meet and maybe have a cup of tea, laugh about it and whatever, and also us, even us state agents, we are supposed to be there because as I was heard in was it NTV, you see, being ordered to kill somebody in the painiest way, and the person is very innocent and whatever. I know I can talk from where I am that if me, who was on the periphery, I'm still haunted by that, what about those people themselves? I think that is usually my intention. If today or tomorrow I die, I'll die a very relaxed person, mostly because once we have talked about the person who has been assassinated, we leave that thing and then we start now talking other things. That is where I get a lot of joy and I feel appreciated. If you give me a lot of money, pesa itaisha. But the satisfaction, I can tell you, the satisfaction that I get from the families and the next of and friends and neighbors uh, of those people who are assassinated usually gives me joy that will only I will have it up to the day that they will perform post-mortem on me. Of course, I usually tell in detail what happened, and that is why you see Mrs. Muge. I avoided talking to her when she was coming for hospital appointments. But equally important is the union brought out by the pain of the assassination. The union, as I said, of the victim. The victim was more than the official version. For example, if you have read the Betrayal in the City, you find that somebody said outside of this cell may be the inside of another cell. Um, that is what I'm usually. That is what I've always been believed. So there is also the aspect that I want really to know what goes through the family, or even the victims themselves, or even the people who are assassinated. I also want to know, equally important, what has been brought about by the pain of the assassination. The victim was more than the official version. You see, like Ouko was the Minister for Foreign Affairs. J.M. Kariùki was the MP for Nyandarua North. But he was a family man, isn't it? He had uh, he had hobbies. He had hobbies. He had that human side. That is what I usually want to know. He had hobbies. He had a issue. Like for example, when I'm with those families, na akikasirika alikuwa namna, or when he's very happy and is in a mood to celebrate. What did we do? For example, did JM JM did not have a friend to escort him to the dowry negotiation. You remember Mama Doris was saying that during the dowry negotiation, he was supposed to be escorted by men, but then he told her, "You'll escort me." More important, from what Mama Doris says, he didn't even know that he was supposed to be accompanied by friends. He didn't have friends. He also didn't know that he was supposed to be. Those human parts, I am usually very interested. Uh, that one is in public. As for Terry, I'm saying that I visited her home around Yaya Center 4 times, but it could have been 6 times. It could even be more, but I think it's anyway, a few occasions. The handling of the story was mostly on the first day. On the first day is when I told her, you see, in detail, an edited version. If there is any plan to kill your husband, I don't know anything. But everything that I concentrated on was the last 48 hours of your husband's day. Other days, little or no information was talked about assassination. We could just talk about JM as a person, as a person, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, those are not the other days. I said it was, let's say, 5 days. So day 2, 3, 4, we didn't talk about assassination. So I really enjoyed that. On day one, and each and every day I used to arrive without notice. But I was lucky that I had appeared on KTN. You see, I was lucky I had appeared on KTN, so there was no problem about introduction or anything. I was also lucky that Mama Terry was welcoming. She was welcoming because we, the intelligence people, we expect a lot of hostility from relatives of such people. But what I can say that she was a Mau Mau lady. By saying that she was a Mau Mau lady or a Mau Mau person, I mean that at the back of my mind, I wanted to gain some information, some information, and also confirmation and such a thing. But she was very, very careful. She never disclosed anything. Uh, that is why I call her, she was a Mau Mau person, because such people, they'd rather die than disclose anything. I ended up getting none. Actually, apart from asking for clarity, she only was asking for things for clarity. She didn't get here. Or do you mean this? Just apart from clarity, and apart from saying that he spent his last day at Kindaruma and not Oleodume. That is the only information I got. She could ask about clarification. I don't understand you here, something like that. And when I said that JM spent his last day at along Oleodume Road, she said no, it was at Kindaruma. And when I wanted her to expound, because you use that opportunity now to ask for opinion from her, then she just kept quiet, and she gave the impression that kama unajaribu maswali pande hiyo, you will not get it. But when it came to discussing JM as a person, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a relative. Hey, she could talk. I got a lot. There is a lady whom she called, I can't remember, let us call her Mama Nyaboke, but I don't recall her. You know, in Luhya, Mama Fulani means different from the Kikuyu. For example, in Luhya, if you say Mama Ann, in Luhya, when you say Mama Ann, you say, this is aunt, this is my aunt, but her name is Ann. But in Kikuyu, when you say Mama Ann, you say this lady, her eldest child is called Ann. So there is this lady who was being called Mama, let's say Mama Nyaboke. Although I can't remember the name. I got an indication that she was a Kikuyu lady who is either married to a Kisi, or better still, she had Kisi kids. So that is the impression I got. This lady is the one who really cross-examined me. She really cross-examined me. Um, uh, but Mama Terry, during the one, she was like a CCTV, seeing everything, recording everything, but speaking nothing or very little. After the whole story, the Kisi lady, the Mama Kisi, can I call it Mama Nyabok, thanked me and said that her kids had been asking how and why their uncle was assassinated. That is the. But when it came, I can tell you, all the time I knew Mama Terry up to the time she was buried. When it came to issues of discussing the assassination, eh, it was like getting water out of a stone. But when it came to stories about him as a human being, she would chat a lot. Is that a polite one? The, after talking, they kept on telling me, take your tea, take your food, or anything. But whenever I concentrate on something, I usually forget about what I'm eating and what I'm drinking. After they were contented with what I had come to say and whatever, then I took my cold food and tea. And my meetings with the other lady was not planned. That's Mama Nyavoke, or is it Mama Kwamboka? It just happened that we met coincidentally. We decided to visit the same person the same day. I had taken my son, who was on an attachment to a law firm, had taken my son to Kibera Law Courts for him to acclimatize himself with court proceedings. And I somehow found myself at Yaya Center. You see, it's not far from Kibra. My son was to be there for several hours, so I decided those hours to be found in Yaya Center, something like that. So I was told by her domestic employees that she was attending to a certain matter and that I should wait. As I was waiting, this Mama Kwamboka drove in, and looked at me in a very suspicious manner. What was going on in my mind? I thought maybe this is a plainclothes, this is a detective. Maybe Mama has called her and whatever. For somebody in Mama's position, it is very easy for people to come and try to play jokes with her. So I looked at the way this lady was driving in and looking at me. She was driving while looking at me as going out. I was wondering, and I was also looking back at her. Then she drove in. It was it had taken. I mean, after entering the place, and I was introduced to that other lady. That is when she told Mama Terry that I looked at this boy. To them I'm boy. I told you, if I'm not wrong, Mama Terry is the age of my aunt, uh, uh, Mary Wanjiku. I think they are age mates. So they called me boy. So she was saying, I was looking at this boy and I thought he was the son of so and so. Then Mama Terry looked at me and said, ah, yeah, they somehow resemble. So the staring at me was that this lady was wondering why her nephew was staring back without waving or without saying hi. But unajua mimi nina damu ya Wakikuyu. So that is how it was. Yes, we talked a lot with Mama Terry. It can take several episodes, but I concluded that J.M. Kariùki was a very loyal family man. I concluded that J.M. Kariùki was a very loyal family man. I noticed that almost 50 years after his death, she was still in love with him, just like he was away for 50 days. You could see the way she acted, and it means that the 50 years had not diminished her. She was just, when you mentioned his name, especially when you are now talking to him about him, not as a politician, not as an no, auntie, tell me about uncle, that type of topic. You could feel that she was still in love with him 50 years after his death. I asked her where they would go, which hotel, was it on the beach, something like that. Then she smiled and entered the house and came back with a photograph. She came back with a photograph. Those days it was black and white. This, she said, he had taken me to New York. Hmm? Wewe ukipeleka mtu wako katika two-star hotel, JM anapeleka New York. She told me that you cannot see him because he's the one who was taking the photograph. Many dating men do two things. After marriage, dating ends. The romance dies after marriage. And apart from the marriage, after marriage, the romance dies. And the only romance they know is taking to a hotel and maybe flowers. But instead of taking the lady to Shanzu or Diani, Ukunda, JM took her to New York. And instead of flowers and such things, he bought her cars. So you can see how things were. I would also like to meet the families of guys who did it, who did it. That is my colleagues. We have colleagues who have gone away. A person like Wanyeke Thungu. How does the family meet? If they are ready to for a meeting, I'm okay. Although I know that it is a bit security risk, but it's okay. I recorded a video of the pastor whom, when I said that Raila can die, the pastor one day he came and was aware that Okondo had two wives, had a European wife who is out of Kenya, and Okondo also had a Luhya wife. So he was telling me how I could meet the Luhya wife and whatever. So that is, I wanted to assure her about what happened and how her husband misspoke. So I would really like a situation where the triangle, the relatives of, with the agents, state agents, the, what do you call, the families of the torturers and the families of the victims, just like the son of Idi Amin is doing in Uganda. I am in constant contact with Gethy's grandchild. She's a policewoman, and it also gives me peace of mind. Of course, security measures have to be taken. Inside me, I would wish to know how the family of Wanyeke Thungu feel, and many more. How do they feel? Especially those who are okay, those who are still alive, and those who have died, their relatives. How do they have day-to-day living? How is it affecting them? Thanks, and God bless you.